Knock knock. Who's there? Mima. Mima who? Guarantee if you're local, as in from Hawaii, you have heard this joke before. I consider myself Māhū, which is kind of funny because Māhū was actually also the first nickname that I ever had. Not that I chose it, of course. So let's talk about it. Ano ai ke aloha kako, I'm Kikwa ke aloha, and this is Iola Ka Lāhui, a podcast and YouTube series where we take the time to deconstruct colonization in Hawaii. If you're new here, I'm an advocate for Ike Kupuna and Mea Hawaii, and if this sounds like something that aligns with you and your interests, please go ahead, subscribe, share this content, and follow me on all of the socials. My handle is Kekoa Opololu on YouTube, Instagram, Blue Sky, and TikTok, where I got my start. I'm also now streaming on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, so please go ahead and give me a follow there. And don't forget to like this video if you're on YouTube. And if you're on one of the podcasting platforms, go ahead and rate it 5 stars. Before we continue with the rest of the podcast today, just a quick content warning. There's quite a bit of explicit language in this episode, so if that is not your cup of tea, I just want you to know that now so you can make the best decision for your own content consumption before continuing. Okay, so back to me, Māhū. If it wasn't already obvious, today we're talking about Māhū kind things. I often talk about my own Māhū experience as one where I was not necessarily the first to know. I think people around me knew before I actually did. I mean, people called me Māhū before I could really conceptualize what that even meant. People called me Māhū like that was a slur, and it used to actually really offend me. But I was also often called the F slur too, so I associated one with the other. But now, as an adult gay man who happens to be Māhū, I understand that these two things are different. As I've grown into my adulthood, I've been able to fully embrace what that means. And so, to explore this a little bit further today, I have some questions to ruminate on. What does Māhū actually mean? What are the implications for being Māhū in today's world? And what are the contemporary problems that we face? And how do we reclaim our roles in society? Now, you might be hard-pressed to find a uniform response to these questions if they were asked to a large group of people. So before I continue even more, I just want to say that I represent really my own mana'o and ike. It's not to say that my kuana ike is the only way to view this topic or the correct one. It's simply my own take. For me, being Māhū means I exist outside the realm of being male or female. And I don't get me wrong, I understand how new agey that sounds, but it's true. I have mannerisms that are softer and more feminine. In Hawaiian culture, this energy is called hina. But I also have masculine traits and tendencies, or ku. And while both ku and hina exist in all of us, I find that I'm able to willfully flow between these two types of energies consciously. And that's because I'm Māhū. And I'm so grateful to have lived under the malu and palekana of other Māhū leaders in our community as I came into my own power as a young Māhū. So I want to refer to a post by Adam Kiave Manalo Camp, who, if you're not familiar with him, he is a wonderful Indigenous researcher and scholar who recently shared his mana'o on Māhū and aikāne and captured it pretty succinctly, much better than I could have. He wrote, "Moe aikāne was not the same as Māhū. Moe aikāne spoke to intimate, loving relationships between people, culturally sanctioned, celebrated, and sacred. Māhū held a separate, vital space, a third presence between and beyond male and female, shaping gender roles, teaching balance, and guiding society. Both were valued and found throughout various Polynesian traditions, not aberrations to be erased." This excerpt comes from Adam's Instagram post dated May 2nd, 2025. I really love this characterization of Moe aikāne and Māhū because it sheds the stigma that plagues the broader LGBTQIA plus community in larger American society. I find it so empowering to know that people like me were not just accepted in society, but we were expected to fulfill kuleana. As a Hawaiian, having and fulfilling kuleana is vital to my well-being and concept of self. And being a gay man in an American world doesn't obligate me to kuleana in American society the same way that being Māhū ties me to Hawaiian culture. Being gay comes with stigma in America, but having a moe aikāne relationship in Hawaiian culture doesn't. So I hope those of you who are listening are starting to see that there is some dissonance here. Moe aikāne and Māhū have well-established cultural practices in Hawaii, but the same cannot be said of American society at large. Because what's the equivalent? While moe aikāne also describes a close, intimate, and even sexual relationship between people who might be of the same gender, it's not the same as a gay and lesbian. And Māhū might find themselves most closely associated with transgender people. Now, make no mistake, Māhū and transgender are not the same things, but there is a lot of overlap between the two. And in today's modern world, that overlap should really be expected and respected. I guess it's really appropriate to say that the implications of being Māhū or having moe aikāne relationships in today's world comes with all of the baggage of the LGBTQIA plus community, especially the problems being hurled at the trans community. Remember, being Māhū or having moe aikāne relationships weren't stigmatized in Hawaiian society. The stigma arrived on our shores with Christian missionaries who recognized that overlap that I just mentioned. We were taught that Māhū people and moe aikāne relationships were sinful, despite the established roles in kuleana that they fulfilled. So we were taught to stigmatize people that we loved. That stigma, which we know today as homophobia and transphobia, is rooted in a foreign ideology, a pervasive one even, that also influenced American society. And it has been difficult, to say the absolute least, to shake that stigma. We saw it reemerge viciously in the 1980s at the height of the AIDS crisis. It made a comeback as the battle for same-sex marriage really started to gain steam, and now we see homophobia and transphobia boiling over as manufactured problems like drag time story hour, trans people in bathrooms, and sports all of a sudden become hot topic conversations for homophobes and transphobes. This has become a particular point of contention for MAGA Republicans who hide their hatred under the clever guise of protecting children or so-called religious freedom. Suddenly, every gay man and every drag queen is public enemy number one. God forbid they read to children. Armed domestic terrorists have shown up at drag time story hours across the country, at drag brunches even, under the banner of protecting children, when what they really mean is don't be gay and trans around us. I don't know about you, but I'm sick of these grown-ass adults hiding behind their kids. Have some courage. Say what you really mean. Don't be a coward. At least if they were honest and upfront about their own bigotry, we could find something real to talk about. But using children? Come on. No, it's not new, right? We have had so many people describe us as only the sum of our sexualities. They think pride is about who we carry on with in our bedrooms. This one girl from Waianae went viral for her hateful bigotry a few years ago on TikTok. Her page was eventually taken down, but here's my response to a small portion of her video.
And you're celebrating who are you fucking in the bedroom?
Baby, you really got the wrong ones with this kind of shit. First off, I don't know how many fucking times we gotta explain it to you. Pride is not about celebrating who you fucking in the bedroom. It's about being able to walk down the street without getting beat the fuck up. When was the last time you had to worry about that because of who you loved? When was the last time you got beat up in school and called a Māhū and got your fucking face kicked in because you were gay?
We as Māhū have had to bear the brunt of this hatred as people in our own communities start to join in on these national level bandwagons. Not too long ago, on the opening day of the state legislature, State Senator Brenton Awa made a comment about Māhū and a joke about pronouns that fell absolutely flat. Now, I posted a video that got a lot of attention and ended up with me on the news, honestly kind of looking like some angry Māhū. But let's take a look at that.
Today was the opening day at the state legislature, and I want to talk about Brenton Awa's latest bullshit.
Scott Psyche used to own the house, but the Māhūs changed his pronouns to has been.
On behalf of all the Māhūs, shut the fuck up. Normally, I would just walk away and be like, typical dummy. But you know what? I think it's time for us to remind everybody exactly who you are and where the fuck this joke comes from. Because I don't believe for 1 second that this is some good-natured joke. Back in 2023, you introduced legislation to ban instruction on sexual orientation and gender identity, a non-issue here in Hawaii. But when we have like actual issues like HIV, which disproportionately impacts the Māhūs, you consistently vote against the measures. So respectfully, Stop talking about Māhū as if all you got is shit to talk. What really sucks is that as a Hawaiian, there's so many things that I hear you talk about that I really want to buy into and listen to and engage with. But I cannot bring myself to engage with somebody who is so openly fucking disrespectful to my community. Stop adopting these foreign perspectives from the continental US, which have no place here, and ho'i kapiko. Stop making Māhūs out to be an enemy, because you know what? We're not. Unless, of course, you want us to be.
I want to clarify that the pronoun thing is a point of contention among Republicans who use it to poke fun at and demean transgender people. Like I mentioned earlier, trans and Māhū are not the same thing, but here we have Brenton Awa making a clear association, which tells me he's willing to put Māhū in the line of fire of mainstream American anti-trans tactics. I mean, honestly, I really shouldn't be surprised given that this is par for the course for the Republican Party these days, but I hold Hawaiians to a much higher standard because we know of the cultural significance of Māhū. So to reduce Māhū to some cheap joke about pronouns is uncalled for and honestly not even really funny. It's even disrespectful to Hawaiian culture. Like, how does he feel about throwing his own culture under the bus like that just to make some lame-ass joke? Even amidst all of the nonsense that we have to sift through as Māhū, we've really started to embrace our kuleana again. Whatever challenges we have, they're rooted in the stigma of being anti-LGBTQIA+, and really being the social pariahs and political targets of the right. The solutions are obvious, though, when we ho'i kapiko. So I think another implication of being Māhū means we are always in this delicate balancing act where we bear the burden of LGBTQIA+, and simultaneously, we awamo kuleana. We've been separated from our kuleana for so long, though, and society has definitely changed. So what is our kuleana? For me, I like to look to the ohana. Not the nuclear family, though, right? Because for the Hawaiian ohana, the nuclear family is an incomplete model. And I just want to mahalo my hoa kikoa rosa for that quote. The Hawaiian ohana includes more than just mom and dad married with their kids in one house, right? In Hawaiian culture, it's kauhale, it's village style. Grandparents, cousins, aunties, and uncles, and Māhū are among them. Whether it's mo'oku auhau, caregiving, or other tasks, Māhū fill vital roles in the ohana. Now, in today's world, that might be chosen ohana or ohana into which we've been hanai. I also look to oihana, or professional work. The types of work that we tend toward are often very similar to caregiving roles, as so many of us possess a nurturer type of personality. I also look to hana no eo, or skilled crafts, traditional works that our people practice, maintaining our physical connections to the past. I look to hula and to oli, mo'olelo and ka'ao, carrying the stories of our people into the next generation, just like we did when missionaries banned hula in the early days of the Hawaiian monarchy. Acceptance in our ohana and communities is expected in the Hawaiian world, although it feels more like a hard-won battle in American society. And acceptance, once gained, is often insufficient because we need more. We need fulfillment. In American society, we prioritize the pursuit of individual interests for fulfillment. But in the Hawaiian world, it's the well-being of the ohana and community and the reciprocal nature of aloha that gives us fulfillment, which translates back to kuleana. What is the kuleana we fulfill to our ohana and to our community? You know, gender constructs really don't matter when stigma isn't attached. In America, there's just so much concerted effort around gender these days that it's almost inescapable. We even have the President of the United States and his entire administration coming after transgender people, emboldening the vocal hatred coming from his supporters. So in a world that feels like it's becoming less safe for trans people, and by extension, Māhū people, it's our duty as Hawaiians to protect and shield Māhū from the vicious attacks from people on the right. We have a divine right to exist here in Hawaii where we belong. And you know what? If you don't like Māhū, then you can move. Colonization almost erased us, yet we persevere. That tells me that we're supposed to be here and we're supposed to make a comeback. Our kupuna and our akua made sure of it, and they paved the way. So, now that we've reached the end of this segment, where do you stand? Are you willing to defend Māhū so that we can fulfill our kuleana? Are you Māhū too? Let me know in the comments what you think, and maybe we can talk about this some more. If this is the first episode of mine that you listen to, don't forget to check out my other 2 episodes and to subscribe to my channel. More will come, but for now, I hope you folks are doing well, taking good care of yourselves, and doing everything you can. Iola ka Lāhui. Ahui ho kako, ilamai ka i kako pakahi a pauloa. Aloha.